Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brittany from Hawaii Wedding Studio, your guide to intimate elopements on the beautiful island of Oahu. In this episode, we're getting to know Alec and Jessa and their remarkable 12-year love story that traded diamond rings for McDonald's fries, and a high-stakes military deployment for a stunning minimalist ceremony at Kualoa Regional Park. We'll explore why Alex and Jessa chose to strip away the wedding industrial complex in favor of raw, uncurated connection, and how you can navigate the strict government regulations to pull off your own dream elopement on Oahu's iconic windward coast. All right, let's get engaged.
Ruling back, trying to talk into facts. Stay a while, press and play. You're smart, great, every day.
Welcome back to the Hawaii Wedding Studio podcast, everyone. I'm Sam.
And I'm Riley.
And, usually when we think about epic cinematic romance, we are totally culturally conditioned to picture these massive grand gestures.
Oh, yeah, like the perfectly lit flash mob.
Right, exactly. Or like the horse-drawn carriage, the massive diamond ring hidden inside a glass of expensive champagne at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah, we expect the spectacle, right? Because the spectacle is just easy to package. It's easy to understand, it's loud, and it demands attention.
It is the absolute definition of a Hollywood expectation, which is exactly why today's deep dive is going to skip the diamond rings entirely.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, today we are unpacking a remarkable 12-year love story that actively subverts all of that. We're looking at a relationship that started with orders of well-done McDonald's fries, survived a grueling military deployment, and somehow ended up 4,383 days later on the towering, dramatic cliffs of a Hawaiian beach with 0 chairs allowed.
Which is an incredible trajectory. And to chart that course today, we're pulling from a really grounded stack of sources.
Yeah, what do we have?
Well, we have the raw emotional data of their actual handwritten wedding vows. We also have this really highly insightful Q&A interview conducted by their officiant, Reverend James Chun, and the literal physical rule book for their stunning venue, which is Kualoa Regional Park in Oahu.
And the mission here for you listening is to figure out how a bond built on the most wonderfully mundane moments of teenage life transforms into this enduring, unshakable partnership. Like, how does a botched 2-hour bus ride detour prepare you forever?
It's a great question.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand the psychological weight of their wedding day, we have to look at the unpretentious reality of how they started 13 years ago.
Right. And what is so fascinating about their origin story is that it entirely lacks that manufactured meet-cute energy.
Oh, completely.
According to Alec's vows, they just met at a local tennis club as kids. He explicitly notes that he thought he was only there to watch the club play. He was totally unaware he was standing next to his future life partner.
Just a totally normal day. But there was this immediate, unspoken connection. Alec mentioned that even before they really looked at each other, the gravity was just there.
Yeah.
And the foundation of their early dating life wasn't built on expensive dinners or like curated Instagram moments. It was built on walks to the Manapua Man.
Yes.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is a classic local Hawaii snack vendor. It was built on those well-done McDonald's fries.
The essentials.
Right. And when they finally made it official on February 15th, 2014, Alec deliberately chose the day after Valentine's Day just so it wouldn't feel too corny.
That detail is just so telling to me. From day one, they were actively rejecting the performative aspects of romance.
Yeah.
They were just filtering out the noise to focus purely on the connection itself. And that philosophy perfectly explains the proposal a year later.
Oh, man. The proposal.
Right. Instead of a velvet box, Alec hands Jessa a single soggy French fry and asks her to marry him.
The infamous Soggy French fry proposal. I love this so much. And I want to look at this through the lens of what I call relationship equity.
Okay, I like that.
Right. Because to anyone on the outside, handing your girlfriend a soggy French fry as a promise ring looks like, well, as Alec phrased it in his vows, high schooler platitudes.
Yeah, it looks cheap to an outsider.
Exactly. But doesn't it say something profound that their foundation was built on something so cheap and silly rather than a grand romantic gesture? It feels like they created their own internal currency.
That is a really great way to frame it. It's actually a brilliant example of semiotics, the study of signs and symbols.
Oh, okay. Break that down.
So a diamond only means forever because a massive marketing campaign told us it does, right?
Right. The whole De Beers thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has inherent financial value, sure, but its emotional value is totally assigned by society. A soggy French fry has zero financial value and zero societal meaning. But to Alec and Jessa, it carried the exact same weight as a diamond because they, and only they, mutually agreed upon its immense value.
It's like two kids printing their own money in a treehouse. To the outside world, it's just paper, but to them, it's the gold standard.
Precisely, because true intimacy is often forged in the unremarkable moments, not the cinematic ones. When you strip away the pressure of executing some grand gesture, what you're left with is a pure, unfiltered connection.
Yeah.
Alex summarized this psychological shared history so beautifully in his vows. He said, "You were my person when we had nothing, and you are my person as we built everything."
Wow.
Right? They didn't need external validation. The French fry was just a physical manifestation of a shared language that only the two of them spoke.
I really want you, the listener, to pause and think about your own life for a second here. Think about your own soggy French fries. What are those highly specific inside jokes or weird little mundane routines you share with your partner or your best friend?
Oh, everyone has them.
They do, because to a stranger walking down the street, those things make absolutely no sense. But secretly, those are the exact load-bearing pillars of your closest relationships.
Absolutely. And as quick footnote to that, Alec did eventually upgrade that French fry.
Ha, I would hope so.
Yeah, on their 11th anniversary, he replaced it with a real diamond. But the crucial context he added was that the upgrade was simply a culmination of their growth. It was proof that for over a decade, they didn't need a ring or a ceremony to operate as a team.
Which is an incredible luxury, because you can't pay for life's unexpected detours with a diamond anyway. You need that internal relationship equity.
So true.
And that brings us to the trials that actually tested their team. In the Q&A interview conducted by Reverend James Chun, we get this brilliant unwritten story that didn't make the formal vows.
Yeah, the bus ride.
Right. It was a simple date early on. They got on a bus, fully expecting a standard 5-minute ride. Instead, they get caught in this massive 2-hour detour.
What's fascinating here is how they processed that disruption. Modern dating is so often obsessed with curation.
Oh, yeah, the perfect lighting, the perfect itinerary.
Exactly. But a botched 2-hour bus ride is uncurated reality. It is an immediate test of emotional regulation. And Jess's takeaway wasn't frustration at all.
Not at all.
She told Reverend Chun that they realized they were just happy to go along for the ride together.
Which was basically the ultimate training ground for the massive test that was coming. Alec eventually left for military basic training and tech school.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
A huge deal. He was gone for nearly 2 years. Jessa stayed home, went to school, and just had to keep living her life. They were FaceTiming and Skyping every single day, but Jessa used a very specific phrase in the interview. She said that without Alec there, her days felt numb and boring.
And that specific phrasing is so important to highlight. We often narrate long-distance relationships as these periods of dramatic, agonizing heartbreak.
Like crying in the rain type stuff.
Right. But psychologically, it often manifests exactly as Jessa described. Anhedonia, numbness. The color just sort of drains out of your daily routine because your person isn't there to share the mundane moments with you.
The walks to the Manapua Man.
Exactly. The stark contrast between their vibrant daily life together and that numb feeling without him is what led to definitive action. As soon as Alec came home, she moved in with him.
Okay, but I want to push back on that narrative slightly.
Okay.
Because it is incredibly easy to look back on successful relationship and romanticize the long distance as this great clarifier. But wait, 2 years of Skype, that breaks a lot of couples.
It really does.
Isn't it less about the physical distance itself miraculously clarifying things and more about how they chose to endure the numb and boring days without giving up?
That is a vital distinction, and you are absolutely right.
Right.
The distance itself didn't save them. Their resilience did.
Yeah.
It's the active choice to maintain the bond when there is zero immediate physical gratification. All the tangible things their relationship was built on were temporarily stripped away, and it left only the commitment.
They essentially chose to endure the boredom together.
Yes. And that specific brand of resilience, the ability to thrive when the comfortable structures are removed, is exactly why their eventual choice of a wedding venue feels so incredibly fitting.
It totally makes sense because when you spend 2 years surviving on nothing but pixelated Skype calls, you kind of crave the most physically imposing, grounded environment possible when you finally get married.
You definitely do.
You don't want a sterile banquet hall. You want Kualoa Regional Park, specifically 49-479 Kamehameha Highway in Oahu.
Such a gorgeous spot.
If you listening haven't seen pictures of this place, look it up immediately. You have the towering, staggering green cliffs of the Kualoa Mountains, literally the sweeping backdrop where Jurassic Park was filmed.
So iconic.
And right offshore is Mokulele Island, or Chinaman's Hat.
It is an awe-inspiring geographical location. But what is truly illuminating from our source guide on Oahu coastal weddings are the strict logistics involved here.
Oh, the rules are intense.
Very. Kualoa is a public beach park. It requires a specific city and county of Honolulu permit. It is highly restricted in terms of capacity, usually limited to small, intimate groups of 30 to 50 people max right on the sand.
Right.
But the most crucial regulation is this. Usually, absolutely no structures are allowed on the public beach.
No structures. Think about that for a second. No beautiful wooden arches draped in imported floral arrangements. No rows of perfectly aligned white Kiavari chairs.
Nothing.
Just the sand, the raw ocean, and those massive ancient mountains. The logistics are a total headache for a lot of couples. But for Alec and Jessa, the sweeping, timeless Jurassic Park mountains perfectly mirror the epic timeline of their romance.
They really do.
12 years. That's 4,383 days. And yes, Alex specifically noted in his vows that he counted the leap years.
I love that detail. It is deeply poetic, really, because the strict rules of the park essentially force a couple to strip away the entire wedding industrial complex.
Yeah, you have to.
The requirement for a simple, structure-free beach ceremony perfectly reflects Alec's vow. He said it proved that we didn't need a diamond or a ceremony to be a team. They didn't need the artificial architecture of a traditional wedding to validate their marriage.
It is a feature, not a bug for them. And the practical tips in the guide, like opting for a weekday morning ceremony and arriving early for privacy and photos because it's super popular on weekends, it just highlights how exposed this environment is.
Very exposed.
You are literally out in the open. And that is where Reverend James Chun's involvement becomes so critical. He isn't just a guy who showed up to read a generic script on a beach.
Not at all. Because there is no physical architecture, no walls, no altar, no chairs. The officiant essentially has to become the psychological architecture of the event.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, Rev Chun interviewed them beforehand. He dug into the semiotics of the soggy French fry, the emotional regulation of the 2-hour bus ride, the numbness of the deployment.
He understood their data.
He really did. So when he stood on that vast, uncontrolled public beach, his job was to intellectually and spiritually anchor this tiny group of people in that massive space, which is a huge task.
And it brings us to the exact moment they finally stood across from each other in the sand. Just them and the elements. And Jessa's vows are stunning.
They really are.
She promises to give Alec her forever through the sun and the rain. She says she will stand beside him when the daylight shines and hold him tight when it heavily storms. But the line that really stopped me in my tracks,
I know which one you're going to say,
is when she vows to choose patience when it's hard, honesty when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is the hallmark of a partnership that has already been through the crucible. She isn't standing there offering naive platitudes about how love conquers all and every day will be perfectly happy.
Right, because they know it won't be.
Exactly. She is actively promising to do the difficult, unglamorous work of patience and uncomfortable honesty.
And when Reverend Chun actually began the opening words of the ceremony, their response to it was really profound. They said the world simply faded out.
Faded out. Wow.
Their overriding thought was, oh, this is finally happening after 12 years together. Alec was overwhelmed with joy to finally give Jessa his last name, and Jessa described feeling incredibly emotional receiving it, noting that they were finally becoming as one.
And the immediate aftermath of that moment is equally telling.
Yeah.
When Rev Chun asked how they felt once they were officially pronounced husband and wife, Jessa didn't just say happy.
No.
She described it as a profound sense of relief and release. She said they felt almost born anew.
Born anew.
Yeah, and they also made a point to acknowledge their support system, noting they would never forget the good company they had that day, completely despite the weather conditions.
So what does this all mean? I'm trying to wrap my head around this born anew feeling.
Okay, let's look at it.
Why do you think, after 12 years of essentially growing up together and being a team in every way, the actual ceremony made them feel born anew? Like nothing practically changes the day after the wedding. You still wake up as the same people. Is this relief and release just the logistical relief of the planning finally being over?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is so much deeper than just logistical relief. It speaks to the incredible, enduring psychological power of ritual.
Okay, tell me more about that.
We live in a society that sometimes downplays the necessity of ceremonies, especially for couples who have already, quote-unquote, done the work for over a decade. Alec and Jessa had been a highly functioning, fiercely loyal team for 4,383 days.
Right. Their relationship was basically built like open source software, just the two of them writing the code in the dark, fixing the bugs for 12 years.
Exactly. And the ritual of the wedding isn't about changing the code. It's the official launch day where you finally take it public.
Oh, I like that.
Standing out there in nature, exchanging public vows, and legally and spiritually merging identities by sharing a last name, it acts as a psychological software update.
That makes total sense.
Rituals force our brains to cross a definitive threshold. They tell your mind to abandon the "we are surviving and building" cognitive state and fully adopt the "we are a permanent, unified entity" state.
And that is why the world faded out.
Exactly. The cognitive load of that identity shift is massive. The ritual gave them permission to release the anticipation of the last 12 years and finally fully inhabit their new shared identity, hence feeling born anew.
So the lack of chairs and arches at Kualoa Regional Park wasn't a compromise at all.
Not at all.
It was actually the ultimate flex of their relationship's security. They didn't need the props to make the software update run. That is just fascinating.
It really is.
It really drives home the reality that a successful marriage isn't just about surviving the massive cinematic storms. It's about navigating those unexpected 2-hour bus rides without losing your mind or turning on each other.
Absolutely.
It's about cherishing the incredibly mundane, soggy French fries along the way, recognizing that those tiny, uncurated moments are actually the bedrock of your foundation.
It absolutely is. And as we wrap up this exploration of Alec and Jessa's journey, it leaves us with something really important to reflect on.
Yeah.
We spend so much of our time and energy culturally obsessing over building the perfect future or heavily orchestrating the grandest, most Instagram-worthy milestones. But think about the strict, unyielding rules of that beach at Kualoa Regional Park.
No structures allowed, just you and the ocean.
Right, no structures allowed. So I want to leave you, the listener, with this thought to mull over today. If you were forced to strip away the arches, the chairs, the perfectly curated aesthetics, and even the literal and metaphorical diamonds from your own life.
What is left?
Exactly. When the delays happen and the plans fall apart, are you content with just going along for the ride with your favorite person? What is the core foundation that remains when all the temporary structures are gone?
That is an incredible question to leave off on. Just you, the elements, and the person standing across from you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today, everyone. If you enjoyed this journey from a McDonald's drive-thru to the epic, sweeping mountains of Oahu, please hit that subscribe button to this podcast for more explorations of incredible stories and deep insights.
And if you're planning your own ceremony out there, Reverend James Chun is definitely someone you want in your corner to help navigate all those Kualoa Park logistics.
Oh, 100%. We have so much more to unpack with you in the future. Until next time, keep appreciating those soggy French fries.
Whether it's a 2-hour bus detour or 2 years of Skyping across time zones, the most resilient bonds aren't built on grand gestures. They're forged in the mundane, uncurated moments. We hope Alex and Jessa's journey inspires you to find the soggy fry in your own relationship and reminds you that on the shores of Oahu, the only structure you truly need is the person standing across from you. For more tips on navigating Kualoa Regional Park permits or planning your own minimalist elopement, check out our show notes in the description. Until next time, stay salty, stay hitched, and we'll see you on the sands of Oahu.